Three. Hello, Internet. It is 11:20 p.m. on February 28th, 2023. This is part two of Unlucky Underdogs. Ken Mide here versus 2020 versus 2013. We were supposed to go live yesterday, but I was out and about gallivanting in the streets of Philadelphia and could not return on time. Furthermore, when I returned home, I had a very special guest, and I wanted to make sure they returned home safely after the festivities. So now I'm in the house by myself. My beloved housemate is out um, tending to their professional needs, and I am being a lump on a log for the next 2 days. So I said to myself, what better a time than the end of Black History Month and to finish what we started, as they say in all those cheesy action movies, finish the job. So here we are, myself, Chris Kennard, and my beloved friend, brother, compatriot, collaborator, visionary of the future, Aelor, aka Arkantil, aka the living motherfucking abstraction. How are you this evening, sir?
Well, it's been a pretty low key day, and I've definitely been, trying to just kind of keep my head on straight. But all the more thankful when I do that because of that, we are back here for the second part of this show, and I think this is the quickest we've ever finished the series on anything, man.
We are really on our shit this year, for sure, for sure.
Yeah, man. Hey, man, I'm just glad that in spite of the personal stuff you have to deal with, the personal stuff I had to deal with, we're still able to
The show must go on.
do it well, man. And coming back to talk about 2013, and the interesting, maybe not a year I look back as reverential as I do its predecessor, but hey, cool stuff happened, um,
Great things happened.
Yeah, um, I, I remember, Eminem dropped Marshall Mathers LP2, and that's
Maybe not so
that's
great after all.
But it's better than sequel albums have a right to be, but that's whatever. I don't know. People really liked that Macklemore song. I don't know which Macklemore song.
Maybe not so
Macklemore
great
song.
after all, and that's me being a shitty person, honestly.
Yeah. But hey, but cool. But there is music from that time that we look back at fondly at, and despite all the very, 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 complainy jokes I made about my selection, the songs I do look back on are songs that I consider very well done, well quality stuff from people who I highly, highly respect, who I would say really kind of was showing off, continuing to show off their talent around this time. And it's and it's it, and it's going to be such a joy to talk about. It's going to be such a joy to talk about. I mean, we're definitely going to have a lot of discourse on a few of them. It's definitely going to be definitely comes with the territory. But at the same time, but that's on my end. On your end, you also have some pretty really, really cool stuff. And I don't know, do you want to get started?
A few things I want to say, just to get us warmed up. Just to I guess keep being shitty, because that's just that's what gets views or whatever the fuck. Recently the man Macklemore got a beat from DJ Premier, and I cannot give less of a fuck. And and again, I'm just being shitty because I bet you it's a great song, because Macklemore's always been he's always been a 10 toes down rapper. Like, call him cheesy or whatever. Call him whatever the fuck you want. The man can rap, and he can rap well. But considering the trajectory of his career, I like to imagine had he not just snitched on himself with the whole Kendrick thing, maybe he could have gotten that beat a lot sooner and would have saved his fucking career. You know, because like I do not think the man's hurting for listenership. You know, he's clearly like found like his loyal fan base, and good for him, because a lot of these white boys are fucking up the game for everybody else. Like we can depend on Macklemore, but his space isn't in the top 40 anymore. But like we can depend on him to like just hold it down for the white boys who actually give a fuck about the craft and the culture. The other thing I wanted to mention is that I think that somewhere in the ether, Daft Punk heard us talking shit on our first stream, because via Brooklyn Vegan, at least 6 days ago, Daft Punk is like, we're dropping a re-release of Random Access Memories with half an hour more shit that you didn't hear the first time. And that's awesome. I can't wait to like possibly dig through that at some point. So cheers to like the French robots. Merci, as they say in that country.
Merci indeed.
So without further ado, just as a quick refresher, here are the unlucky underdogs from 2013. They include, but are not limited to, That Much by Rah Rah Riot, Stand Amid the Roar by Silverstein, So Good at Being in Trouble by Unknown Mortal Orchestra, Decay by Seven Dust, Overgrown by James Blake, One of Us is the Killer by the Dillinger Escape Plan, Neptune Estate by King Cruel, Waiting by Dismemberment Plan, Great Escape by Washed Out, Nostalgia by Pusha T and Kendrick Lamar, You're Not Good Enough by Blood Orange, Telegraph Ave, aka Oakland by Lloyd by Childish Gambino, and Get Lucky by Pharrell Williams, Nile Rodgers, and Daft Punk. A couple more things I'd like to include that didn't get brought up in the first half of our stream is that if for any reason you watched the One of Us is the Killer music video, trigger warning, content warning for blood and guts. And this was brought up to me by my dear co-host Aelor via the Twitter DMs. And honestly, whenever I've like sent the song to people, I've always just sent like the stream from like the Sumerian Records YouTube channel. So yeah, unless you're not really into like blood sport, don't watch that shit. Just buy the album or stream it yourself, I suppose. Yes, on the first stream we covered songs 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and Unlucky 13. And today we'll be discussing 1, 2, 3, and 10, 11, and 12. We'll start with Rah Rah Riot and the song That Much. To keep it short, at least on my half, Beta Love is one of the best albums ever put out by indie rock band, and it is one of the few albums that I can listen to tracks 1 through 11 start to finish. It is quality as fuck, and it deserves its respect. And how dare you have your ringer on at this point in the evening, sir? We are at work. We're punched in. Lock in, goofy. I'm fucking with you.
My bad. I have it on vibrate, but because it's on my desk, of course you're going to hear it. My bad too.
You're a busy man. What can I say?
But
it's
yeah,
demon
okay.
Time.
Okay. So when I first heard this, okay, my initial disappointment was that it didn't do the Pharrell 4 counts. Then only lost by 3. Only lost by 1.
Okay.
Only lost by 1. So it's like, so
they didn't want to get sued, bro. They didn't want to get sued.
Yeah, but
I don't think it has the same
all in all, I think you're right. I think there's only like one rock song that, granted, it predates the Pharrell. It predates Neptune's by decades. That you can also kind of count as doing the 4 count in, and that's like the Birds. Do you want to be a rock and roll star? But yeah. So I don't really know that many rock songs.
I thought you were going to say Midnight Memories by One Direction.
Man,
song fucking rocks. I don't care what anybody says. Fuck that fucker.
it almost makes me regret. It almost makes me regret that I didn't put on my side. I didn't put a One Direction song that I actually have very fond memories of listening to in
Which
2013.
one?
Best night ever. Best night
Fuck
ever.
that song.
No,
You really
best
like
song
that
ever.
song
Best
for
song.
real? You like that song?
I mean, okay. I have not listened to it in
Explain.
in literally 10 years. I just really thought it was for a song that rips off Baba O'Reilly, aka the GOAT classic rock song. They did it like
Fuck
they
who?
were able. Yeah, they were able to make it. They were able to kind of like really do a good job of like capture harnessing the energy. Granted, for a teeny, granted, nowhere, absolutely nowhere as reverent and as masterpiece as Bob O'Reilly was, but did a decent job of capturing the energy. That was like, you know what, you guys might be onto something. You guys might be
You
onto
are far too
something. I mean,
generous.
but I haven't listened to the song in 10 years. So I don't know that it might just be like the soft bigotry of low expectations that
If I can
was
bust your balls
really
for
what
one
was.
minute,
Feel free.
this is your Anthony Fantano compares Yeet to Kendrick Lamar moment.
I mean, for all the times I give Fantano grief on my on my show on Station Head, which I am not promoting, but if you feel, but should anyone feel free to listen to,
Midnight in a Perfect World. Please don't sue us,
yeah,
DJ Shadow.
but I give that man so much grief, and I'm gonna give him grief on this show too. But at the same time, I have to admit, bound to be in situations. I'm bound to be in situations that are going to be like, yeah, comparing Kendrick to Yeet. Get my granted has now likely aged well, but given my beautiful dark twisted fantasy of 6, I'm bound to have my own moments where I skirt with that same controversy, or I don't know, or better yet, his Thriller isn't a 10 video, which
It's not.
I will.
It's not.
The
It's
reasons he gave
not.
for it just didn't work. I mean, he was slandering "Baby Be Mine," which I look. As soon as he
Song
was like
rocks.
saying, as soon as he was slandering "Baby Mine," I was like, okay, yeah, I'm sorry. We've already reached the point of no return, man. You might, yeah, I don't know. He probably is right about that Thriller. About Thriller not being a 10. Yeah, I mean, he probably is. But when that was with that being part of his reason, a song which every time, as soon as I hear it, I'm so enthralled by the thumping bass of it all. It's just like, all right, cool. We don't. I don't know what we can agree on. I mean, and funny enough, in talking about Thriller, we were, I was recently mentioning about him reacting to Paris Jackson's favorite albums, and he was slandering the Bends, and I was like, "What the hell, man?" And like, okay, I always knew he was not that big a fan of
Hold
the
on.
Bends.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. As a member of the Wahite tribe, it is Anthony Fantano's birthright to be shitty about Radiohead. Like, listen, man, white men don't have much. So if they get to shit on Radiohead at any given opportunity, we can let them. The records speak for themselves. And it's not as if like Tom York and the boys are being assholes about all their success. They're probably hiding in their homes reading books as we speak. I want to say about Fantano 3 things.
Mhm.
One, Thriller on its best day is a strong 9. And that's all I'll say about that. Because I have not listened to Michael Jackson since
I
2018. So take that with a grain of salt. Don't cancel me,
okay.
black people.
Yeah.
Secondly, Fantano was justified in giving Dark Twisted Fantasy a 6. To be honest with you. All
It,
things
it's
consider, all things
it's
considered,
aged. It,
it's a
it's a critique that's aged better than
than the fucking project.
we give
Clearly,
it credit. Yeah, yeah.
clearly.
It's mhm.
I will
Yeah.
say about fucking fantasy is this: on all the lights, when you know who says something wrong, I hold my head, MJ gone, I nigga dead. I'm like, first of all you'd have to say, because like you, for some reason, radio found it impossible to edit that part out. All you have to say is something wrong. I hold my head, MJ gone. The king is dead. How the fuck did all those amazing people in Hawaii not come to that fucking conclusion? That was a joke, dog.
And
But
I
that's neither here nor there. That's neither here nor
and
there. Final
yeah,
thing. Final
yeah.
thing that I'll say about
Mhm.
Fantano. He's not wrong about the Kendrick Eat thing.
You know,
I'm being a
it's
shit. I'm being
look.
a shit ass tonight. I'm being a complete
Yeah.
asshole
I
tonight.
mean, I could forgive the Yeetin if like if Damn didn't get the same rating as that Lil Pump album that
You
came
have
out
to
in the
admit that shit
same
was
year.
fucking hilarious, though. It was fucking hilarious when that happened. And and not for nothing,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
agree that Damn deserves an 8. I think it's a good score to have
Yes. Yes.
in regards,
Yes.
because like frankly,
Eight.
if we're being honest here, Kendrick was on a run for his whole fucking career. Overly dedicated, Section
Mhm,
80, the rest is fucking history. The goddamn album,
mhm.
Dan won a fucking Pulitzer Prize. So who gives a fuck about like the best teeth in the game giving it an 8? I think all
Seven.
bullshit
Seven. Yeah.
aside,
Yeah.
a 7?
Mhm.
I still
Yeah. Yeah. He
seven's
gave it
still
a
a good
seven.
fucking score. Seven's still a good fucking score. And look who's here right now, and look who's not. Like
So,
Pump got a 7 because of the memes. And then like he shot himself in the foot in regards to how he treated women around him and wearing that ugly ass red hat. Fuck Lil Pump.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he was here for a moment. Not even J. Cole could save his ass.
And he tried. He tried so hard. You know, I did
I
not watch
respected him
that
for it.
hour
I
long
respected him for
conversation,
it.
but he tried.
I respected him for it,
Yeah.
but not for
Yeah.
anything else.
Yeah. Yeah. We've spoken about our issues on Cole's attitude, and you know,
More like the bars. More like the bars, to be honest with you.
certain you know, and you know, certain stuff that he could have, yeah, certain bars that he dropped in 2020 that was aimed at a certain person because a certain person decided to get in his feelings about another person's comments, that could have been way solved if he just picked up the phone and was like, hey yo, hey, let's just talk about this stuff. But someone
I don't know what
decided
you're
to
talking
drop
about.
some bars,
I don't
and
know what you're talking about, to be honest with you.
but
I only think about like I think maybe a couple years ago I still would have been salty about like the no name thing, but
yeah,
personally,
that's exactly what I'm referencing to.
to be honest
I'm
with you,
exactly, yeah.
to be honest with you, I let that shit go
Mhm,
because it's not important. I think for me I think what bugs me more about Cole specifically, three things:
mhm.
the bars on Illuminati not being removed from the project or just taken off streaming. One, that's a big one. You know what I'm saying? Secondly, his classist bars on like his most recent project. This is about like him.
Oh,
This
if
is
you're
about
hating
like
on
that millionaire
yeah.
talk. Like, get the fuck out of here, dog. That's gross. It's disgusting. Ew. Not that big of a deal. Small potatoes. But the biggest thing for me is
Mhm.
on that latest like Dreamville DJ drama release on the song Stick.
Uh-huh.
Sheck West got a verse, and I don't
Oh.
appreciate Sheck
Oh,
West getting a verse.
oh yeah, I had no, I honestly have no idea. Yeah, you know, admittedly, I did not check the full details on the recent dream build, and man, wow, Jack West. I mean, jeez, I mean,
Just for
you know that
context, for those who
well,
don't know what like Sheck West did, allegedly, I'm gonna say allegedly in case like motherfuckers want to come sue us. Um, Justina Sky is like, yo, he put hands on me. He said, no, I didn't. But then like that was the end of it. And even Ebro from Hot 97 is like, this shit is fucked. And I'm here for Justina Sky. I don't listen to her records. I don't know her, but I'm like, listen, who stands to lose more in the long run? Justina. You know what I'm saying? Like Shaq West had a couple like viral memes do well, and like he can just like not say anything, hide for a couple of years, and appear on a very popular song with rappers that we love, JID, Cole, and I'm just like, nah, that shit does not fucking fly with me. You know what I'm saying? Like no consistent effort to like condemn like domestic violence in any way, shape, or form. Like I feel like there's a very consistent and clear way to um add truth to power. And I saw none of that. I just saw denial, and that was the end of it. I don't know if it ever went to court. I don't know if it was ever resolved. And I don't appreciate that shit. It happens far too often in black music spaces. And I fucking hate that shit. I don't stand for it.
And
And
yeah,
and
and
and,
but
and we know
yeah,
about Cole's crusade to just like take up for rappers who fuck up time and time again doing like irredeemable crimes. And
yeah.
like we have to stop doing that shit. You know what I'm saying? You know, K Dot himself did it for the same rapper I'm not naming because they feel as though that's enough, and it's fucking not. And I don't mean to put words in their mouths, but like if anyone there's a podcast that I love called The Read, featuring Crystal and Kid Fury. Two just like two of my favorite just like popular black figures. They celebrated their 10th anniversary of doing their podcast in New York. And when they did the read portion of their show, Crystal went on an extended rant about one Chris Brown. You know, him making a song with Chloe Bailey, and him like feeling some type of way about being like we condemn Chris Brown openly in black culture,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
he doesn't understand why. And so Crystal took it upon herself to list like most, if not every, crime he's committed since he hurt Rihanna. There are far too many for Chris Brown to be talking so loud on social media as if like his hands are clean. And
And
we
to
will not have it.
yeah, and
We won't have it.
yeah, and to recontextualize that whole situation, I mean, in our last show, we were alluding to, when Frank Ocean beat Chris Brown for a Grammy. But one thing I didn't, I mentioned Chris Brown being a spoiled sport about that. But one thing I didn't mention, I probably should have, was this was literally coming after a few days where the two had been in a violent confrontation. CB's people come in after Frank's people, and yeah, Frank got hurt in that situation. And the only reason and it wasn't the news, it was a whole situation. The only reason we didn't end up hearing more about it was Ocean himself putting out a statement saying, "Hey, I've had to deal with the fear of this violence like this for so long, and I just want to let this thing pass." So the only reason we don't talk about it as much is because Ocean himself decided not to press charges, and that whole context being there, and then him winning the Grammy, CB being there, and him like I wouldn't say famously, but him like sitting down, very much making a statement and sitting down while everyone else was giving Ocean a standing ovation. And you know and want to talk about being a sport, and now 10 years later, that same similar attitude towards another artist who the Grammys felt
Robert
deserved.
Glasper.
Yes, Robert Glasser. And Mr. Brown would try to walk back those comments to be like, "Oh, hey,
An
it's
unapology. An
I don't
unapology.
you know but it was like, look, I'm not gonna to go on a more crusade on folks who still listen to Brown, because at this point, if you listen, you know what he did. You know what he did. I don't want to get on.
Yeah,
I
maybe
don't
you
want to get on
don't.
that.
Maybe the fuck you don't. And so, like, if you are not aware of the laundry list of things that Brown has either committed or been accused of, if it's not a concern of yours, hey, son, like, follow your bliss. But please don't be surprised if people want to like pull you to the side and be like, are you good? Are you sure this is what you want to do and spend your time on? And like, we apologize to like Rah for taking away their time to like rant about this shit, but like, it's
Yeah,
like
yeah, 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 yeah.
Hold on,
Yeah,
cuz.
yeah,
I wanna like just like nip it in the bud
uh-huh.
if you don't mind. It's like
Yeah, yeah.
this shit keeps on coming up because like I'm hoping sooner rather than later, this shit will like not be acceptable at all. You know what I'm saying? Like the world is ending outside. And like we're still talking about shit that happened almost 20 years ago. Like awful things that have just like plagued our industry and our culture and our people for a long time. Shit's gonna come to a head. Like sooner or later, like enough is going to be enough. So when all the chips are down, I hope you're standing on it. I hope you're standing in a space that you feel like confident in, because I think this is why we do the show that we do, because we want to make noise for shit that like you missed while like you're reading the gossip page. Shit. All I really wanted to say was, had the Ramade not even said that like Brown was nominated for the same award that Frank was, I wouldn't have even fucking known he was there, because that's how little I think about this man.
Yeah, yeah, and
In short,
that
sir,
whole
go raise
that
your
whole
children and shut the
yeah,
fuck up.
yeah.
Meanwhile,
But yeah, right, man.
how do you feel about that
How?
fucking
Okay,
song, huh?
what is your experience? Yeah, what is? I loved it. I loved it. I
What?
love the
Oh.
very breezy. Yeah, I love the very kind of breezy, somewhat sunshiny, yet still kind of hazy feeling it brings out. I mean, I've been curious. What is your experience with Ra Ra Riot? Like, how did you first get into them? You know?
Um, I can already tell, like, just because I know you and what you're capable of, that you've listened to this band a lot longer than I have. I, at some point,
Uh,
saw the music video for
mm-hmm.
Boy, and I'm like, this shit
Uh-huh.
is fucking sick. And so you hear that song, and it's like, it's not often you hear about a band with like a violin player and a cello player, and like everyone is really just like goated with the sauce. Like the bass player, like just that and like great guitar solo on that song and great guitar solo on this song that much. It's just like this band is underrated as shit. They're so good. And I also wanted to like just praise this band for the Valerie cover. They're so good. Fuck.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. You know, and yeah, I mean, if there's a if I mean, of all their contemporaries in the indie scene, like okay, give a I guess I don't think they're around anymore, but I gotta give a shout out to another indie band from that era that also had a violin player. Shout out to the Airborne Toxic event. You know,
Oh, so good.
yeah, they were doing their thing. I don't know. I don't think they're still active anymore, but they were like,
Let me
like
check.
late 2000s, early 2010s. You know, they were on their thing, man. You know, so shout out to them. But honestly, I would say sound wise, a contemporary that this, maybe it's not a copy paste match, but it does kind of remind me of Moon Taxi. This in terms of also kind of being this kind of sunshiny, kind of baroque indie act, and I Moon Taxi, just absolutely lovely, a lovely band. And this is definitely a song, I don't know. This is this kind of song I could imagine that, because I think you have like more experience, like kind of being with the scene kids, scene kid adjacent from that time. This I always imagined that this was one of those things that would have helped convert like the scene kids of the mid to late 2000s into being more into the indie scene. I mean, would you say that that was accurate? That would be accurate.
No, not at all. I
Mhm.
think my biggest issue with scene kid culture is that we are so, I would say that scene kids are so just like dependent on tropes, which is why so many of the bands get canceled or fizzle because they cannot, because like human beings and like creative people are bound to progress. They are bound to change. And scene kids are horribly inconsistent to change. They resist it at every they will resist change at every possible avenue. I think about the band Sleep Token, which is primarily associated with like
Mhm,
the gent subgenre or style of music, and they're only doing
mhm,
as well as they are because like the fact of the matter is the front man, whoever they might be, very hot. The songs are great, but a viral moment put them into focus. I think during the height of like streamed concerts where like Twitch was I guess like featuring some artists from that part of the world, the UK and whatever. Like I think of one of their better songs from their second album, Alkaline, which is like it's just a such a great representation of what they do so well as regards to like this like delivering just like R&B esque adjacent metal. Like
mhm.
my other co-host on Haystack Hates Your Music, good old Lowe's, he laughed when he heard that shit. He thought it was so cheesy, and it is.
Shout out to him.
Shout
Mhm,
out to Haystack
mhm.
West, love that guy, and like it is,
Yeah.
but like the fact that like it was so laughable that it wasn't listenable, it breaks my spirit. And that same concert got like taken off Twitch because Wargasms, Milky Way was wearing like I think like a see-through top, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, nipples that aren't from a man. They're clearly just selling sex." And I'm like, "Dog, that's just how Milky dressed everywhere. Like, don't make it weird." And I think because that stream being pulled, like people didn't get a chance to hear Sleep Token or didn't get a chance like to hear Wargasm and things like that. Like, I feel that yeah, if Rah Rah Riot were playing Warp Tour, they would not be well regarded. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, like this like alt indie is just labeled as like this shit is pretentious as fuck for like art school dropouts. And that's as far as it goes. Motherfuckers who like to watch Wes Anderson movies on purpose type beat. That is the extent of like this. But oddly, and like I would also say that bands like this, like I haven't really like heard like the discourse or experiences from bands who fall into this kind of category, but like in addition to not being like just like adjacent to change or progression, bands like this, they have such a hard time touring. And I
Mhm.
kind of imagine that like indie hipster alt like music is way better funded. Like you don't see like the most metal thing you'll see on like Pitchfork Fest is Death Heaven. And I remember like
Mhm.
people were really shitting on like the kind of music they were making for being like black metal slash shoegaze, which is just again just like hipster jerk off music, essentially. Like I remember
Yeah.
you just being like, "Yo, Slow Dive, so cool," and I'm like, "Who the fuck is
Yeah,
that?"
yeah, yeah.
Because like it's like hipster all indie music is super gate kept. Like platforms like MTVU broke the fucking walls down because like the curators were like, we have to just like we all have to get this money. It was because of people like MTVU I got to see coverage for Janelle Monáe via the single Cold War. I had
Mhm.
hopped on early, and I forget who even put me on, but you see the video for Tightrope, and your life is fucking forever changed. And thank God for people like Big Boy who had their back all these years for them to be even put into a position where they're like front screen, like front page on a Netflix movie and stuff
Yeah.
like that, playing
Yeah.
Glastonbury, headlining feature. Thank God for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
like an artist like Janelle Monáe is the exception and not the rule, because like they contain multitudes, that free ass motherfucker. And like, not to say that like a Rah Rah Riot does not contain multitudes, but like I suppose it's like, oh, I don't care for the vocalist. Oh, like, who do they think they are? Yellow card? I don't like this kind of music. And that's as far as it goes. It can be like just broken down to that level. And it fucking sucks, because I don't know how well like Spin Magazine or Consequence of Sound like reviewed and rated Beta Love, but just like when I heard Beta Love, I'm just like, oh, this is just like that. Oh, I just love the sound of that fucking keyboard and like this is just like a quirked up white boy with the sauce who loves Diana Ross. Okay, like oh
Yeah.
bars.
Yeah. And it's that kind of imagination. It's that kind of like not just I don't know, because I don't know, I get kind of I get kind of tired of certain like indie music that's just Smith's worship or Joy Division worship, that kind of just acts as if like that, like in like the range of what music, far reaching music can be, begins and ends. I think when you look at the whole situation with alternative rock and punk rock, I've always argued that the best bands were always the ones who understood how to take the roots of R&B and kind of bring it to this bring it into this new direction. I mean, and they mhm,
I want to stop you only because we got to like we're already at like
uh-huh.
37 minutes because we got to
Okay, so we got, we
hold
got,
on. I only bring that up to say like I like we derailed ourselves, but I want to make two notes and move on to
mhm.
the next two songs, because we're talking about punk rock, we're talking about
Oh,
scene kid bullshit, and like those two specific things have to do with our next two songs. I just also wanted to point
mhm.
out that the last time Airborne Toxic Event dropped was last year. They put a full ass
Oh,
album out.
so this still on. Awesome. Got it.
Not to mention, not in
Got
addition to
it.
that, Moon Taxi put out a single this year. So there's
Okay.
still time for
So
people
yeah,
to like get on board. So
indeed.
since you mentioned Scene Kid bullshit, it's only fitting that we talk about our next song, Stand Amid the Roar by Silverstein. Silverstein being, I would say, a forefather of all this Scene Kid bullshit. Shane Told is one of the best vocalists in the genre, without a shadow of a doubt. I highly also recommend his podcast, Lead Singer Syndrome. I was listening to that
Mhm.
motherfucker for a long time. And I want to specifically point out, just for like historical context, I only stopped listening to the podcast when lead singer of A Day to Remember, Jeremy, was the guest, because I was afraid that during their conversation they would not talk about the fact that one of their guitarists was being canceled, and why A Day to Remember took so long to remove Homeboy from the lineup in the midst of them promoting a new album. I was afraid that that would not come up in the conversation. So like I stopped listening to the podcast, because too many times in the past has the scene let me down in protecting men that should have been excommunicated within a week's time. I am aware that like these sort of things carry a legal precedent. I know that like lawyers and contracts are involved when things like this go down, but my go-to example of how like cancel culture can work, which spoiler alert, it does not, is when Scene Kid Band, prominent, bubbling, rising Scene Kid Band issues. Lead vocalist was alleged of some Me Too crimes. And unless I'm incorrect, a single day, 24 hours when the news went public, he was gone. Prominent, crucial, anchoring member of this particular subgenre and scene, fired within 24 hours. It can be that simple if you trust and respect your fans and the communities that they belong to. Why was this not the case for bands like Pierce the Veil, All Time Low? Why did it have to be, in the case of All Time Low, where Meet Me at the Altar was like, for the sake of our careers and the sake of all the communities that we belong to, we cannot be on this tour anymore. You can make the similar case for Feist opening for Arcade Fire when frontman Will was accused of Me Too crimes. She was like,
Yeah.
I don't want to rob my fans of the experience that I promised them by appearing on this tour, but my values matter more than my wallet. I'm speaking verbatim. And she at least was like, I struggle with the decision that I made by leaving the tour. That's all I fucking want at the end of the day. I want people to be honest about, I struggle with making a decision because this person is my brother. This person has been in the band since we started the group. That's fucking fine. Just say that right the fuck away so that I can make the decision of, I want to see like, because when you say, when there's nothing being said at all, my mind is going to go to the worst places. The front bottoms, who, as I recall, were told that a person in their camp, not in the band or something like that, a person who worked for the band was out doing some heinous ass shit. And the victim was like, that fucker did some bad shit to me. And you freeze like a deer in the headlights and don't do anything? You have to do something. You have to do something. You got to get off the road. You got to call the attention to it. Maybe like the public doesn't need to know all like the intimate details, but you gotta say something. You gotta, like, we're all adults, right? Like I'm 30 or 29. Like the people, like, you know what moves music culture forward? The youth. We have to fucking, not to be like, oh, hokey, like, whoa, think of the children. We have to do that. Literally, I think yesterday or this morning, I'm listening to a podcast featuring Toby Morse of legendary punk band H2O. And one of the guys in the podcast was like, yo, I took my 16-year-old nephew to his first Turnstile show. And I recently, thanks to my good friends here in Philadelphia, I saw Turnstile for the first time. And on this most recent tour, they opened the show with like, they just played I Want to Dance with Somebody by Whitney Houston. And like Turnstile's a hardcore band. So like you don't expect this kind of shit to happen at a hardcore show. But everyone knows this song, everyone loves this song, everyone loves Whitney. So everyone's like, you know, like loosening up, they're having fun. And then if they cut the song as the chorus comes in and everyone sings the chorus, obviously, at the barn burner, and as they like say, with somebody to love me, the set starts. And so, you know, the song's playing. Kid's nephew was like, dude, I gotta get to the front. First hardcore show. I was like, go get it, man. Go get to the front. Kid's mom is there and she hesitates. But dude's like, he needs this. To protect experiences like that, we have to do something. Last year I went to a Friendsgiving event and everyone was super nice to me. I only knew one of the dudes there. And like these are all his high school friends essentially. I felt like an intruder. I was the only black person there for real. And like, but everyone was super nice. The food was so good. And like one of the people there, she was like, my favorite band is Dance Gavin Dance. For context, that band's lead vocalist was canceled for some very heinous shit. And she had no idea. And by no fault of her own. And it's so fascinating to me that some people just like listen to the music and that's all that there is for them. If I'm gonna throw a bone to like Chris Brown listeners or Lil Pump listeners or Sheck West listeners, for some folks it's just like the record, but like it can't be, it can't just be that. You know, it can't just be that. Like some decisions have to be made, and like some folks are like just like, oh, just like legally download the music and just enjoy it privately. I don't like when I play records, when I'm with other people, I want everyone to enjoy the shit that I enjoy. And I don't want to make
Mhm.
not a single fucking person uncomfortable with the music that I decide to play, which is why I stopped listening to Michael Jackson in 2018. I just wasn't going to have that conversation at all. It's like, if you can't tell me without a shadow of a fucking doubt that the person being accused is innocent, like I need absolute certainty. And if you can't give me absolute certainty that's like backed and verified by like several unbiased sources, get the shit out of my face. Like, go in peace, but like I can just listen to some other neglected artist who deserves a fair shot that's never gonna get one. But enough of that
Yeah.
bullshit.
And yeah.
So
And
please.
yeah, and I mean, well, among other things, I mean, one thing that I wasn't going to mention, but I guess since we've been pretty solid about this conversation, on my part, there was an artist who I originally had on my part of the
Whoa. We don't have to talk about
playlist
this. We don't have
that
to talk about this. We don't have to talk about this. We don't have to
yeah,
talk about this.
but
We don't have to
yeah,
talk about this.
but
I'll leave it in the
just
comments
in
though.
terms of us both be yeah, but it does show that both of us, this is something both of us take seriously, and both of us take seriously, and we value having this conversation about music. We value having this conversation about music, and we value not in us having this conversation, it being stuff that we can share to others, and and I'm glad that I'm glad that I made that decision to not put that on the show, in the end. But yeah, but to this song, man.
Um, I just want to like give you your flowers because
Mhm.
when you came to me privately and were like, oh, the one artist I was going to include, I did some research and I found some like fucked up shit. It's like, thank you for like making the time to find that out for me. Cause now I'm not gonna like I wasn't gonna I never heard of the artist in question. I'm like, oh, I guess I'll get into his
Mhm.
discography and now I won't. I'm just gonna like leave that in the past. And I just want to like say this before we move on. It's like if at the time like one of your favorite artists is now like canceled and whatever the fuck, like those memories that you have attached to those songs, you can still like enjoy those memories, but like leave them where they lay. Cause I'm sure like it hurts a lot when some of your favorite music is made by like folks who don't like respect others or wish to like bring harm to others and such. I'm not saying it's fucking easy, but like this is what this growing up shit's all about. This, you know what I'm saying? So like please just like please like hold on to those precious memories if it's gonna like help you get through hard times. But like I don't want to be beholden to your experience just for like some wiggly lines in the air. There are so many there are so many songs that I haven't heard that are going to change my life this year. And so like I want to like make space in my brain for them. And so if I had to like take out a couple hundred artists who like are like saying things or doing things that are like not good for or that are not for the betterment of humanity, so fucking be it. One of those
Yeah.
songs was Stand Amid the Roar. I wanted to acknowledge that like like I said, like Silverstein is a foundational band in this scene culture. And, like for them to endure after all this time and still sound good, it's like it's you listen to Silverstein now with what they're currently making and listen to this project, which I think is called This Is How the Wind Shifts. Like
Yeah, just
it's
out of
almost as
wind.
if no time you'd almost like fucking forget it's been 10 years since that project came out. Like they were doing some crazy like I just man, like I remember when I think in 2016 later,
Hmm.
I'm gonna fact check this because there's this one specific song by Silverstein that kind of fucks up my shit. And I think it was yeah, in 2016, no, in 2015. Yeah, in 2015, 2 years later, they put out the release I Am Alive and Everything I Touch. And they put out the single A Midwestern State of Emergency. And I was like, God damn, yo, like if your vocalist in your post-hardcore slash metalcore band isn't doing what Shane Told is doing, where he sounds like he's clearly improved over the years, but like if he doesn't sound as good as Shane, like he needs to practice. They need to practice. She needs to practice because like it's I don't know how the fuck they pull this shit off live. And there's like 6 dudes in this band. You know, like Shane Told is a monster, dude.
Hmm. Yeah,
As
and
a
that is
non-scene kid
exactly.
person, talk to me. Yeah.
You okay, and that's the thing, It's like the same way you can come to me, you can definitely depend on me to kind of deliver my indie meets hip hop, and we're gonna be on that on my side. I know I can depend on you to be consistent with this emo post-hardcore scene kicked in, and you are always consistent in giving the hits, man. And this is definitely it's a blast. It's an absolute blast of fun. And in a way, I guess in kind of like how I felt about the Dillinger Escape Plan. It's a song that, in my opinion, I think it speaks to self-preservation and perseverance through difficult times, and really, kind of putting your fist in the air to make sure that you survive through the difficult moments. I mean, is that what always appealed to you about it?
Okay, so like my origin story with this bullshit is that in like 7th grade, I was only listening to top 40, right?
Hmm.
Because I wanted to be cool, I wanted to be popular. And then in 8th grade, I
Hey,
went back
same,
to
yeah. Hmm.
right. And then in 8th grade, I left public
Yeah,
to go
yeah,
to
yeah.
I
Hey
went to a
there.
public school and private. I went to a private school in 8th grade, and it was a religious school. And
Hmm.
so I was explicitly listening to like gospel radio, Christian radio,
Hmm.
CCM. My parents had a shit ton of good gospel records. And so I listened to that exclusively. And then in 9th grade, the school got significantly smaller. I think in 9th grade, there was one graduating senior from that school I went to. And I found that the 10th graders, the 11th graders, they were so cool. Like they read manga and listened to Christian rock, like just real edgy shit. And I'm like, yo, I want to be just like these cool people in my classes. And so like at the time, Windows Media Player had like a store, and I'm like, the
Hmm.
internet was like exploding. So like, I'm like, holy fuck, I can hear songs I've never heard before, and songs that I've only heard like in passing anytime I want for 30 seconds at a time. I was in hog
Yeah.
heaven. I would come home from class every day, every afternoon, and just like listen to my 30-second
Hmm.
samples every afternoon. And then like Rhapsody, I think, came out, and it was like, yo, I can listen to like
Oh, yeah,
6
yeah, yeah.
songs
Yes, Rhapsody,
in
man.
completion for free. I mean, like 4 email accounts. And so, like, bands like Emery, Red, Skillet before like their Fox News transformation, like
Yes.
POD, I thought that was like the heaviest shit in the universe. And so,
Hmm.
like, yeah, of course, like, you're like, oh, like, I want, it's just like, I think, like, just like the angst of like being bullied in 3rd, 5th, 6th, 7th grade, it had to go somewhere because I wasn't going to therapy. I wasn't being medicated. I'm pretty sure my mom was like, yo, like, you and your daddy, you're autistic for sure. And I'm just like, I didn't make my peace with that or accept it for years. And so, and even when like, I drop out of college and me and the old man, God rest his soul, were arguing over shit that doesn't even fucking matter. It's like you want to scream, but you can't. I think one time I swore at my father, right? I use explicit language in his direction, and he stopped talking to me for like a month. And
Wow.
like I have more empathy in regards to him now as a man, but in my early 20s, I took that shit so personally. And I'm like, I
Hmm.
didn't understand, like, like that's just and it that is what it is. It's fine. And like there were people, there were like adults in my life that were like, give him like, extend him a little, extend him the grace he does not extend you. And I'm still just like processing that even now. But like, when like that
Yeah.
kind of shit happens to you, where's it go? Like it's gotta go somewhere. And like it comes out when you're walking to work, you're walking to school, and like when you're in like those empty ass fields with nobody, you swear nobody's around, and you let that fucker rip. You know what I'm saying? Like you turn up the volume to as loud as it's gonna go, and you feel those feels. I remember even in 2016, one of my favorite musicians, Devin Townsend, he's been in like at least 4 bands that I like. And the one release he put out under the Devin Townsend Project band, there's a song called Grace. And like the refrain in the song was never fear love. And uh he put like a live album called The Retinal Circus, and he put like the last song of that performance on YouTube. And he's like the master of like the wall of sound, and just like he was like, like just like the moment for like the last big just like refrain of never fear love, he was just like, take this shit to work in the morning. Just like the feeling of like that, just like euphoric and visceral feeling that music gives to you. Like, because like when just like that moment where like a great song is coming down from the high, it really makes you emotional. It makes you want to fucking cry. I think literally yesterday, the day we can't like, I think the day we canceled us like streaming yesterday, I was listening to a band,
Yeah.
Polyphia, and the song Ego Death was on my queue. And like the song ends with just this epic like Steve Vai guitar solo. And as like they're coming down from that solo, you have like the trumpet player from Brass Tracks just like playing like
Yeah.
the guitar refrain over his trumpet. And I was like saying to myself, I love music so much because it has been regardless of the genre, regardless of the artist, it's just been my companion through all like just like the crazy ass moments I've been through all of my life. And I was just like looking over the lyrics from this song, where like I think of like the two things that like Shane screams like after the first verse. Like he says, we do whatever we want to. And then after the second verse, he says, we'll save whoever we want to. And I also like, I love the one line after the chorus, that first chorus where he says, a feast of apathy and a shot of angst. Because that's what this shit is all about at its core. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and it is a thing of like, did I forget who I was? Did I forget where I came from? Did I just lose who I am? And the in the bridge, it's like, maybe we should walk away from this. Were we destined to be different? If we were smarter, maybe we try to fake it. We don't know how, and we live in the now, and shit like that.
Which, and those lyrics remind me of another post-hardcore song. Shout out to my people who have fond memories of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4. Simple song by Avail. Avail just says, did I trip myself up again? Did I see more than you did? I don't know where I'm going. I don't think that I can. And that, just that kind of sentiment about, self-preservation, even in difficult times where you have to kind of reassemble the pieces of who you think you are, who you thought you would be, and trying to kind of like figure out what's really going to come for you in the future. And I guess it's a sentiment that is continue, the same way, grunge music was really known for its songs about self-destruction. You do have these post-hardcore songs that are, very much seen. Post-hardcore songs are really kind of constantly hit on the theme of self-preservation and endurance, which I think showed across very beautifully on this song, and shown across very beautifully on the song, and I think very complimentary to the message you try to spread on your show. You try to spread on your show, and just kind of trying to aggressively keep that positivity. So I mean, so it's very distinctively you, and and I'm glad, and I'm very much glad that I got the chance to listen to it.
Well fucking said, homie. I also want to
Mhm.
like point out that Avail was a band from 1994 to 2022, but they for a moment briefly reunited in 2021. So if you're wondering what the band sounds like after all these years, they put out Satiate via their own. They self-released it in late December in 2021. So for anyone who's just like morbidly curious, and to be honest with you, I don't want to lie on air. I never played Pro 4. I played Thug 1. I played Pro Skater 1 and 2, and then we made the jump to like I think I played 3 if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we played 3 because I was on the
Mhm.
PlayStation 2. Our next door neighbor had it. And then when one of my very good friends like graciously gave us his GameCube, uh, I played Underground 2 quite often. That soundtrack is so awesome, and I really can't wait to like get my hands on the Wii.
Masterpiece,
Yeah,
masterpiece.
like there's so much good shit on like Underground,
Yeah.
Tony Hawk's Underground 2. My God. Before we may have to like do a draft of that particular game. That's just fucking awesome. So many great songs. Let's do the last one of mine.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Good at Being in
Yeah. Yeah.
Trouble by Unknown Motor Orchestra. Like I guess like in the like in regards again to like that quote unquote quirked up white boy with the sauce. It's just like this like if you ever consider yourself like black and alienated by R&B music, like Unknown
Mhm.
Mortal Orchestra is just like that stepping stone band that you need. Like I don't know why, but I don't know how I got into them, but just like the song like Can't Stop Checking My Phone is so funky, and the song like Multi Love discussing like polyamory, and then like this song is just like it's very just like it feels like it feels like this song feels like Charlie. This is my Charlie Brown core song. You're like so good at being in trouble because it's like like you keep
You
taking
know,
L's, but like
yeah.
then it's like the singer Hosier.
Yeah. Take me to church.
The Yeah, like on
Jesus.
that when that album came out, we got a copy of it for free when I worked at the FYE, and like there's this one
Mhm.
song where he's like, "I fall in love with a new person every day." Oh no, it's called like hold on. It's like he talks about like, oh, every day that he wakes up, he falls in love with somebody new, and like I can relate to that very much. But like but then if you're taking fucking L's, you're gonna be singing "So Good at Being in Trouble." It's like son, like when does like the misery end, dog? So when and
You
I'm
know,
and I'm and like I bet.
yeah.
Please go on, take it away, take it away.
Okay, and and I gave myself so much grief, and I will continue to when we get to my side, over how much, like, pretty much with the exception of one song, so many of my choices, so many of my choices are these kind of, once again, baby please come back songs of like of just kind of being in this constant constant state of mourning bad connections and bad connections and bad connections, and I was so worried, and granted we will have to have a conversation about it. So worried, and as I alluded when we're talking about washed out, I was so alluded, I was just so worried. It's like, man, is Chris going to like listen to my stuff and be annoyed over all this? Like, man, okay,
Never
man,
annoyed, just
like I
concerned.
yeah, I yeah, like, okay, I get it. I get it. I get it. You're heartbroken. Okay, I get it. But thankfully, like
I just want to
listening to
hug you, my
this,
brother. I just want to hug you.
I was like, oh, thank goodness, he gets it. He gets it. We're
I do.
was yeah, was somewhat in the same stratosphere of like this music, of like having to listen to some of this music to connect with our rough personal rough personal history. And I think I think it's quite I think it's quite a very very quality song. I think it's highly, granted, it's highly complimentary to the Overgrown song, even though Overgrown song with James Blake. They kind of have that kind of same,
I have not heard that one. I ain't
soulful,
gonna lie.
lo- you know low tempo feeling and everything. And and it's definitely a song that it's one of those songs which, I mean, granted, I don't, I don't know, I I I don't know the ins and outs of how Unknown Mortal Orchestra wrote this song, but it's and I guess it's a feeling that I can definitely attest to with my choices. It's one of those songs where you know that the people who wrote it were absolutely living that heartache for the most part. Yeah,
I want
but
to say
I'm quite fond of it. I'm quite fond of it.
I'm glad. I want to say two things. First things first, I want to like correct myself. Lead vocalist of Unknown Mortal Orchestra, one Ruben Nielsen, is not a corked up white boy with the sauce. He is half Polynesian, half Hawaiian. So, sir, I sincerely apologize for just making an assumption about your heritage based on the kind of audience that like gravitates toward your music. That's number one. Secondly, I think you might like that on the Blue Record EP by this band. It includes three acoustic versions of like the songs from the record, two, which is the album this song comes from, and two covers, one by the Dirty Projectors and one by your good old friend Beck.
Oh, and shout out to the Dirty Projectors, who
Stillness is the move, baby.
they have always been such an interesting band that, even in that whole indie classification, I still don't really, all these years later, I still don't know what to think of them, because like
Everybody
my
feels the way
first
about the Dirty
introduction,
Projectors.
yeah, yeah, because my first introduction to them was through the Rise Above album, which
Shit is
aka
weird.
aka was, yeah, it was their cover album of Black Flag's Damaged album. And and at that time, and Black Flag's Damaged album is truly one of the, not just great punk rock, hardcore punk rock albums, it's really one of the great rock albums of all time. So imagine me, like, being like, oh, hey, cool, a cover album of Black Flag's Damaged, and the guy hadn't actually listened to the album in how many years. How does this sound? And my favorite song on the album, is Six Pack. So I'm like, oh, hey, how does Six Pack sound? It's like, and it's like, damn, 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 damn. So it's like, wow, but this is, there's there's not sounding like your original, there's having a cover that doesn't sound like the original, and then there's like, okay, I definitely believe you when you said you didn't listen to the Damaged album for how many years. But no shade to Dirty Projectors. That's just the fact that the same group did that, and in '07, and then 20, that fast forward all these years, believe even doing collaborations with Beyonce. They've done collaborations with Beyonce. I gotta attest to that. And then truly, and then in 2020, we'll do a song like "I Don't Want to Lose Your Love," which is just truly, truly pop brilliance. Pop brilliance. I mean, that is. You know, shout out to Dirty Production. Shout out to Dirty Production. If you know your stuff, if you're rocking with Dirty Production, I mean, it's not for everyone. It's not for everyone. I don't, you know, I don't even. I sometimes have a hard time even knowing if it's for me, but you
Yeah,
know, but but it's a but you know, but if you're around that, it takes imagination, man. You know, and shout out to those who can recognize it, because I assure you, there are definitely a lot of with that Rise Above album, there are definitely a lot of hardcore and punk folks who look at that as just as hipster garbage, and it's like, I'm not saying you're
that
wrong, but it's but give it a few spins. Give it a few spins. Just
like
give it
give
a
it a
few
month
spins. I
and then come
mean,
back to it.
exactly.
Yo,
But yeah, shout out to Unknown. Yeah,
I'm
yeah. But
sorry, I
shout out
cut you
to Unknown
off.
Mortal Orchestra. Yeah, shout out
Indeed,
to Unknown Mortal Orchestra. Yeah,
say it three
yeah.
times and it'll appear in your room.
You can go now.
I'm so sorry, sir. He'll take you to New Zealand.
Yeah.
um, fucking. So a quick Google when you put in like Dirty Projectors Beyonce, two things come up. Firstly, you see that Hove and Beyonce went to a show where Grizzly Bear and Dirty Projectors were like the headliners, and like Beyonce is like, I'm a fan to one of the members. That's one thing you see, which is fucking sick. And then on Daily Motion, you see a performance of Stillness is the Move by Dirty Projectors featuring our queen, Solange.
Oh yeah, and
Fuck.
if there's any, and we're going to be talking about Solange a bit more later on,
Very soon.
but if there's any, yeah, but if there's anyone, if I mean, and Beyonce herself, especially with like Lemonade, has shown her Lemonade, and even I'd argue even self-titled had shown her love and affinity for D&D culture. But Solange, yes, Solange, she's been cool in those circles since the Soul Angels album. You know, shout to Soul Angels, man. You know that like I said, if it wasn't, you know, if it wasn't for her collaboration with Blood Orange, we'll also be talking about, and you know, seat at the table, you know, if we would probably be talking more about Soul Angels, but when we talk about Solange, to her credit, Solange has so many great works in her discography that really what was such a captivating album like Soul Angels, you know, kind of gets a bit forgotten now, which is, I guess, is both a positive and negative then. But yeah, shout out to Solange, always you should, for showing love to the indie folks, you know.
So let's get to the fucking like this is like this is man, we might fuck around and go to like 2.5 hours of this bullshit. We have a lot to discuss, my friend. Let's
Mhm.
fucking talk about Nostalgia by Pusha T and Kendrick Lamar. Uh, do you have any like just real quick, do you have any like information about the producer of this song? Because I don't.
Okay, I know it's partially co-produced. Well, it was partially co-produced by a certain person who we had alluded to last time, and whose involvement in this song is no surprise, considering the record label that Pusha was on at that time. I know he's not the only producer though.
Yes.
I think,
So
yeah,
if I may, if I may,
not.
so like
Yes.
yes, good. Thank you for name dropping him. When I was making the YouTube version of this playlist for our listeners, if you like, the version I put was like the Def Jam audio only, and like when you
Hmm.
go to like the description of the song, it mentions Knots. It doesn't mention you know who, and I'm like, who the fuck is that? And
Yeah.
thankfully, when you put his name up in Genius, like the first like 10 songs that you see are like Barry Bonds by You Know Who, That's That Shit by
Hmm.
Snoop Dogg, Failure by Lupe, Look by Mellow High, Say That Then by Slaughterhouse, One Night by The Game, Comeback Season by Aubrey Graham, Alone in Vegas, which is a song I know that you really like,
Yes.
and Look Over Your Shoulder by Bus a Bus. So he
Yeah.
like the resume speaks for itself, and wouldn't you fucking believe it? He's from Norfolk, Virginia.
So it all makes it all connects. It all connects, and it all connects. And no matter where Pusha T go, no matter where Pusha goes, his loyalty to Virginia remains intact, and truly, and yeah, and then we come to nostalgia with nostalgia from his official debut solo album, My Name Is My Name, which
I have one word for you,
um
sir.
you know
I have one word for you. Look at your
uh-huh.
screen.
Indeed, yeah. And
Yeah.
okay, and it's so funny looking at where Pusha T was at the time, because of course he had already been dropping solo mixtapes, the Fear of God series, and then Fear of God
My
Part Two,
God.
which was really a breakthrough for him. And but this was his first official solo album after he had really been able to kind of reinvigorate himself, following never an official breakup, but was clear. It was clear even in like 2011,
End
heck,
of an
2000.
era.
Yeah, heck, even if you were listening to certain lyrics on to the Casket Drops, that yes, there was an end of an era, because his brother, his partner in the clips, was clearly, even then I was watching interviews and YouTube videos, he was clearly kind of becoming disillusioned with not just with the rap business, but just the direction that clips had been known for going in, which a direction which we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about that. And and it became clear that while his love for his brother Pusher was very much still intact, and his love for hip hop, because as to those who don't know, No Malice would release his own solo album in the same year, in the same year as my name is my name. Hear ye him, which is also, I would say a pretty solid album in its own right. Granted, could very much the same aggressiveness of his brother, but subject matter subject matter could not be any more condemning of the same thing that his brother is. I would, very much in, excessive in. And then here we come to nostalgia, which from once again from my name is my name, which, if you know what that's a reference to, and if you
I
know
don't.
what Pusha tends to oh, okay. My name is my name is my name is a line from The Wire, and I
Oh,
can't,
never
I
mind.
don't, yeah, yeah, and we all know what the Wire is about. We all know what The Wire is
If you
about,
know, you know.
and the and it's kind of a joke. It's kind of a joke now how much Pusha is constantly raps about this certain subject, so much to the
20
point
years
that
selling Johnson and Johnson.
and I guess this can now count as promotion for this movie that's out now. Hey, for this movie out now. But
What
hey,
movie?
take a wild guess. Yeah, take a wild guess. What's a recent movie about an animal that is strung up
Oh.
that is that is strung up on a certain substance. Guess who has a song on the soundtrack to that movie? Take a wild, 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 wild guess. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Jeezy,
It's that would make so much
Can't
that would make
Stop
so
the
much sense
Snowman.
too. Yeah, but
Hey,
yeah.
just
I
for
mean, it's
historical
kind of a
reference, the cocaine bear
yeah.
is a woman. Okay, respect the queen. Period.
Directed by a woman too.
Let's
Shout out
fucking
to
go, dog. We need to go
Elizabeth.
see this movie.
Yeah, yeah. Shout out to Elizabeth Banks. If you have fond memories of those Pitch Perfect movie, which he actually directed the second one. Yeah. She's moving on up as a director, but yeah, it's kind of a punchline now that, oh, hey man, Pusha T is always rapping about coke, man. He's always rapping about coke, and what is nostalgia about but coke, and specifically his years, being a how he started off, in that whole business, very very young, very very young. And you know the thing about the thing about, when he makes these songs, they're very dark, they're very menacing. And from that very, and the menacing tone shows even in the production, which is ding, do, 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 do. And and the fact, and I think Pusha has never as much as he reflects on this dark past that he had to go to at a young age, but also the fact that he's Pusha's never been shy of making himself the villain in his own stories. And and that kind of, and I guess kind of being a villain of circumstance, but very much, I mean, he shows shame of, his past on certain songs. Shout out to Alone in Vegas, which is shout out to Alone in Vegas. And but here it's just full on, hey, yep, this is what life turned me into. I'm the full on villain of this story. It is what it is. It is what it is. It is what it is. And then, we and it's really interesting thinking about this, because as I mentioned, No Malice, his brother, would also put out an album around this time, which has a lot of songs that condemn this lifestyle. Shout out to Barry Dat, or and I think Smoke and Mirrors, which could not be any more and Villas, in how much it is like, I hate the fact that we used to sell coke. I condemn that lifestyle so much. I have I have turned my life to Jesus. And funny enough, this the kind of the interesting dichotomy would also kind of be reflected when CNN would do a story on them, which I believe is still available on YouTube. And one thing that the reporter kind of reflected is like, what do you think? What do you think of the fact that, what do because especially in reference to, his brother going the direction he did. Granted, they're doing songs together now. I mean, it's almost dry and all that stuff, or whatever. Um, but I remember he said, oh, hey, what do you think of the fact that, you owe so much of your success to your time dealing drugs. And Pusha kind of has to correct him. It's like, well, I think I owe a lot of my success to the fact that from that, I just had to become a good business person, and I guess that's kind of the double-edged sword of it all, because it's bad actions of bad circumstances. But I guess you could say that something positive in his life came from it. But how do you reconcile that? How do you reconcile that? How do you reconcile that? And how do you reconcile not liking that time in your life, and not liking what you did in that time, but owing so much to it? it's called nostalgia for a reason. But before you can reflect on that too much, hey, did you know that this song has a featuring artist? A featuring artist who, despite us
Kung
talking
Fu
about it,
Kenny.
despite me being a yes, despite me being a huge fan of, I somehow in all of our videos I have somehow not spoken about Mr. K Dot himself, who especially around this time was on such a high point, not only with with section 80 and his own landmark sophomore album, but major label debut. And it'll be around this time he was collabing with so many artists. He did a track. Shout out to Hood Gon Love It with his now former fellow black hippie confidant J Rock. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe one of these days we'll get that black hippie album. Who knows? He did tracks with The Game. He did tracks with 50 Cent, and he comes on a track with Pusha T, where he also has a very menacing reflection on his time, in the drug trade, and just how, hey, wow, hey, did you know that the crack epidemic hits Compton like a brick to the face? Because it did. It
No
did.
pun intended.
No, not indeed. And so one strength that has been spoken about when Kendrick does collabs that other people have spoken about is how he does a good job of really kind of complementing his collaborating artists. And one thing he does, shout out to him referencing the Trouble on My Mind record that Pusha did with Tyler. But just also kind of like taking that same dark menacing energy of like, yeah, hey, I grew up seeing my community be ravaged by drugs. And it wasn't, and not just my community in abstract, but just seeing my family having to be affected by this, my father having to go into this lifestyle, my father having to go into this lifestyle, my 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 aunt being ravaged by this. So hey, him alluding to his father trying to get him a Sega Genesis, and then his aunt stealing that Sega, him getting him that Sega Genesis with drug money, and then his aunt stealing that Sega Genesis for drug money, and it's something that they very much, they very much kind of like take on those horrific memories with some kind of perseverance, but the effect is just so clear as day of like, man, we should not have had to live through this, man. And I've been talking about this for so long. I mean, what do you have to say?
To be honest with you, all I'll say is that if you want to learn something really cool about the Kendrick verse, I highly recommend that you go to the Dissect podcast on YouTube and go to their shorts and learn about hidden numerology in K Dot's verse.
Mhm.
And I think that as a concept, this is a very cool song if you're a lyric person in rap and in hip hop. But when I heard this album when it came out, the only thing that really I remember about it is like Push and like Skateboard doing a song called "Sorry Nigga, I'm trying to come home."
Mhm.
And
Yes.
I remember that fucking record, but I also remember that C Breezy gets a hook on Sweet Serenade. And like Alor was saying, Push is a businessman. I don't know if at this particular time Push was the president of like Kanye's label And fun fact, there's nobody on the label now except 070 Shake. You know what I'm saying? And
And
I
I
was
think
just like,
con
man,
and I think yeah, and I think Consequence, and he's been getting, like,
nope,
really, really salt. Oh, what? Oh, yeah, 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 sorry. Oh, yeah, no, no, no,
not
it's
for a long fucking
Consequence has
time.
well, it's complicated because, like, he's not officially on the label anymore,
So he's not
but
on
he's
it.
been getting yeah, but he's been getting salty at everyone else for leaving.
That sounds like a conversation that's like
It's
10
really
years too late to be
stupid.
having.
It's really stupid. It's like, like, dog, I get it. Like, hey, like, I get it. You still want to be loyal to your man because he's helped you with, like,
Let's
money
not
and
put
stuff.
words in
But,
his
like,
mouth. Let's not put words in his mouth. Let's not put words in his mouth. Like,
yeah,
as
yeah, yeah.
uh,
Sorry.
if I'm gonna be ignorant, it's like hip hop and Consequence in 2023 have nothing to do with one another. And if I'm wrong, I would love to see the receipts. I would love to see the paper trail. One thing I will say in regards to Push, like I was praying for years, like, dog, please just like vacate the position. But one thing you can say about Push, he is loyal to the man whose name we will not speak. And I don't, it's super annoying to me. Like, cause like to be honest with you, from my point of view, Pusha T is a meme. Like me, like making like reference to like his ad lib, like his legendary fucking ad lib, him doing commercial, like him writing the jingle for McDonald's, him doing commercials for Arby's, him basically like ethering Drake out of existence. Like all that shit is like almost not real to me. Like the beef being ended by some unknown figure who's like first very fucking dangerous, like in real life dangerous and shit. Like it's like wrestling kayfabe to me personally. Him being shitty to Nardwar for not getting like the dude's shtick. Like at one point, do I,
Yeah, I
at
never
one
saw that.
point do I get to hold like a Pusha T accountable for being just like for being fucking obstinate? When do we get to have that conversation? That's spoiler alert, you don't, because that's how much of an impact he's had on our culture and music in general. I remember him coming to the stage being like, and coming to the stage, designer. How fucking funny that must have been when like the label can't even
Mhm.
hold that dude down, and how that
Yeah.
run went and stuff like that. Like all that belly aching to say, I don't enjoy this song, but it's not a bad song. It is a very crucial it is a very crucial juncture in our culture's history. And if you love rap, if you love Miss music, you should hear it at least once to see that there's a reason why he doesn't have to rap about anything else. There is a reason why we don't want him to rap about anything else. It's so fucked up knowing that like Push and Malice never had to sell crack. They never had to sell crack. They wanted to. And like even like
He
I'm listening, I'm
yeah.
going, I'm making my way to like the Jaded Forum podcast, and one of the hosts worked for Push because like dude wasn't like streetwear and stuff like that. And like a thing like the clips has to end when like because you know they made such like they did such an important thing for hip hop that we needed. You know what I'm saying? I'm bringing Star Trek and bringing the Neptunes to the world with just like the way that, man, like just I had never before heard Wamp Wamp before like you played it for me at a Halloween party. And like that beat
Yes. Yeah.
really just fucks my head up. But then that goddamn the Pyrex's Jewish bar just makes me want to jump out of my skin every time I hear it. I'm like, oh my fucking god, dude, what the fuck were we doing? What were we doing? Ah.
Does it d does it make up for the fact that, he who will not be named, comments repeated comments on that community was the straw that broke the camel's back, that and was the reason why Pusha decided to jump ship from that. You know, does it in any way kind of make up for it? I don't know if it does,
You could have
but
stopped me
you know,
mid-rant
but
if that's what
just to
took
get an
place, because I didn't
update.
know that.
Yeah. That's he's not on the label anymore.
So he is not the
That's
president.
yeah. He's no longer the president. He
Son, you
was
could
the
have stopped
president
me.
from
You
like
could have fucking
it,
stopped me, man. I was talking cat shit.
you know, I forget. I know. I forget that our spectrum of research is not always the same. It's not always the same. And
Not in sync.
but
So I
we're not always the
apologize.
same. But yes. Pusha like recently left. You know, when you know who wouldn't shut his damn mouth over, you know, his comments
You
on
know
that
what?
community. And
I'll say
yeah.
this. I'll still say this. That specific incident shouldn't have been the reason he ran. He should have been out of that motherfucker. Been out of that motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like, I'll just go ahead and say it. We could have saved that man. We as a hip hop community could have saved that man. I don't know. I don't know what Ho did or did not do for that man, but as a community, like the TV shows, the radio shows, like like we all as a collective could have been like, no, you do not get to do this. You do not get to say this. Enough. We could have, and we didn't.
Oh yeah.
So we lost him, and we will
Yeah.
never get we will never get like the man back that we loved so much. But even when he was at like the height of his powers, we could have, we should have just like turned off all the lights when we had the chance. And I pray it's a lesson we learn with our new stars, because there will be a new Kanye West someday. There will be a person who just
Mhm.
like shakes the culture to its core, and we have a responsibility to that person to save them. And maybe that's like fucked up or weird or just
Yeah.
like out of bounds, but like, you know, like the fucker said it himself, no one man should have all that power, and no one man should have all that
Yeah.
powder. So let's move on to the next song.
Yeah.
We were at an hour and 40. Um, let's here.
Yeah.
I think
We got this. We got this.
hold on. All right, we may have to do
Yeah.
something. We may have to do something. Um, okay. Let me ask you: do you have more to say about Beano or Blood Orange? Because I feel like we should knock out Blood Orange really fast. It is one. We are at an hour and 37 minutes. Can we get this? Can we knock this the fuck out in 10 minutes?
Yeah, you know, okay.
Because I'll go first to make it
Okay,
easier on you.
I'm definitely gonna have my because I know we're definitely going to, because as you alluded to in our last show, there was your reaction towards this Blood Orange song, and a reaction that I completely understand. And I don't even know if I'll be able to contest it, but you know, but we're not gonna have a war of words, but we're definitely
Definitely
gonna
not.
have
Let's get
to.
started then.
Yeah, so yo, blood orange, man, man, and you know,
Hold on.
you're mhm.
Straight up and down, I do not like this song. I don't like the way it makes me feel. And like, you just, I knew even 10 years ago, I do not like this song. And it was heralded as one
Mhm.
of like the Blood Orange songs. And I'm like, this motherfucker has so much music, and this is the one. This is your king. I don't fucking get it. And like, he's done a lot for music, especially in the indie sphere as a black man. And I'm so thankful for
Mhm.
all of his hard work. Again, like he's on 2 songs from that new Turnstile album. Love Dev Hines. Love Charlie XCX having a
Mhm.
relationship with his work. But like, I don't fucking get it. I don't like this song. And like, there is context that you are going to provide to the audience right now. So please get into it. I'm gonna shut up.
Yeah, and you know, okay, and then is like I in our show that we did a good year back when we were talking when I was talking about Solange losing you, and then from there we would end up you would end up talking about Sky Fiera's evidence embarrassing, which I'm still gonna find I've still got to find that old interview, but apparently both songs written about about a woman that Mr. Hines was not having the greatest relationship with at the time. And it's funny because when I look back at but one thing I had always maintained was Cupid Deluxe is a special album because Cupid Deluxe was, in my opinion, when because I was loving losing you, and um I was loving Evidence Embarrassing. But and was I already aware of Blood Orange? Yeah, yeah. But to me at the time, he was the guy who did who did Sutphin Boulevard, and which was a hot song. But I was like, yeah, okay,
What
he's a cool
Boulevard? What are you
cat, but
talking about?
Sutphin Boulevard, Phin. And because that was like how I because that was a song that I'd heard. I was like, all right, this guy's cool. But I'm guessing this is going to be one of those situations where it's like, oh, you're a hot artist, but we're gonna know you best. We're gonna know you best for when you're producing stuff for everything. Because I thought Stuff from Boulevard, I thought the Coastal Groves album was solid, but
I just had a realization that I want to like. This is another instance of Chris Kennard being shitty. Steve
mhm.
Lacy is the Padawan of a Blood Orange. Because I think
Yeah,
about Bad
yeah,
Habit like having a really big run over the
mhm,
last year, and I'm like, how does this? What is this like feeling of like deja vu I'm having? And I'm like, oh, this shit is basically like Blood Orange worship. Not to diminish the immense talent of
mhm.
one Steve Lacy, guitar player and singer and songwriter, but man, it's like if there's a coin, Steve Lacy is heads and Blood Orange is tails. But please continue.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I mean, so I thought Sutphin Boulevard was a cool song. Is a cool song, and Coastal Groves, cool album. But I was like, yeah, I'm like, all right, man. Okay. So you're gonna be the guy. You're gonna be the guy. What Jack Antonoff is now gets all the credit for it being now, but you're gonna
That is
be
a
the
big one. That is a big one. Cause
you
since you
know
fucking said it, in no fucking
yeah.
way is Jack from Bleachers the guy for non-classical producer of the fucking year. Man, like, and
I'm
again,
not
not
trying.
to say that this
I'm
man doesn't work really fucking hard, really great artist, but it's like, geez, dog, like, is
like,
is this like
did you see that? Yeah, did you see that cover that Bleachers did of Beatles' Hard
Hard
Day's
Day's Night?
Night?
I did not listen to it. I'm scared to, and I talk a lot of shit about the Beatles, but like their song "Hard Day's Night" is definitely one of like the good joints that they've done. I haven't heard it, and honestly, I haven't moved forward with Bleachers since I Want to Get Better. To be honest with you, I haven't. I didn't like Don't Take the
I
Money. It
don't I
torched me
don't
at it.
blame you. I don't blame you, by the way, because did you check
Hipster
out the? Because
garbage,
I know.
dog.
ah, did you check out their performance on SNL last year? The one where
Fuck
Ariana
no.
DeBose hosted.
Fuck no.
Yeah, it was and I say this as a man, I say this as someone who loves Bruce Springsteen, and by that same metric also loves bands that engage in Bruce Springsteen worship. I have never seen such obvious Bruce Springsteen worship feel so awkward. Like,
Listen, dog. Here's what I'll say
ah,
about Bruce Springsteen worship,
man.
and I know you'll agree with this shit. There's only one band who deserves to
Mm-hmm.
do Bruce Springsteen worship, and they're the Gaslight Anthem. Everybody else can go the fuck home. Because, like, at least the
Yeah.
Gaslight Anthem is actually punk and, like, sounds like they're from fucking New Jersey. I don't even know where the fuck those guys are from, but it sounds like New Jersey core when I hear it. And,
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Like Jack is from New Jersey. Like Jack is from Jersey. You know, he's a Jersey guy, and he credits like Springsteen for helping him feel pride in being a Jersey guy. But man,
I mean, every
I'm like,
white
I'm
boy
not
from Jersey
like
feels that fucking way.
I'm not trying to and by all means, I don't want to shade Antonov too much because it's hey, you know, you do get these gigs for a reason. You do get these gigs for a reason, but
He's
it's
got
like
the sauce.
and
Clearly, that motherfucker can write a
and
song,
and
just not for himself.
I will, yeah, and I will say, like the stuff he's done with Taylor Swift, and like I do like New Year's Day. I really do believe, should be like I do look forward to the day that a song like New Year's Day is when we talk about the truly great songs that Taylor Swift has done. You know that New Year's Day is one of those songs, but it but in talking about Jack Antonoff, it's like, you know, that thing that we give Antonoff credit being, oh hey, he's the indie guy that the women go to, and all that stuff. Blood
The
Orange
white
was
girlies.
technically already, yeah, Blood Orange was technically already doing that. Like, you know,
Oh, dude,
the stuff with Solange. Yeah, yeah.
dog, you're telling me that, like, Jack Antonoff is the Cadillac car guy from Dreamgirls.
Yeah, yeah,
Had to be
yeah, yeah.
Mister.
Like,
I'm a star.
yeah, like Blood Orange was on that, man. Like, once again, you know, Sky Fiera and Solange in the same year, doing tracks with. I mean, unfortunately, those tracks were never released, but he was doing tracks with Britney Spears. I mean, oh hey, when we talk about
We
how
need
much
that
we
shit.
just love, I can't believe I can't believe I'm forgetting her name right now, and I actually like her. I mean, call me maybe lady. Call me
Carly Rae
maybe lady.
Jepsen.
Yeah, yeah. When we talk about how much we love Carly Rae Jepsen's, you know, turn
She's
to
having a
like
great
sophisticated
year
pop,
recently. Her shit is so good.
yeah, yeah. Like Blood Orange was part of that. Blood Orange performed with her on Saturday Night Live back in 2015. All that. It's on YouTube. YouTube that stuff right now. Carly Rae Jepsen, all that, you know, SNL. He's playing guitar with her. And it's like, and you know, but you know, so oh hey man, isn't Jack
One more
Antonoff
thing.
so cool?
One more thing.
And you,
One more thing. Do you remember the Florence and the Machine song "Kiss with a Fist"?
yes, I do.
I remember a specific clip of her singing that song, or at least rehearsing it with Dev Hines all those years ago. And it was like, son,
So
like, everywhere and nowhere at the same time. And just check the fucking resume, dog.
so and I guess in referencing all of this stuff, what I'm trying to get at is that had had Dev just stayed being a producer, being a songwriter producer for other artists, that would have been cool. That would have been cool. I would have been like, oh yo, hey man, check out, yo, much love. What made it, because I had already been aware of the Coastal Groves album, and you know, shout out to the Sutphin Boulevard song, but it didn't, I will admit, it didn't leave me with that confidence that I could see Dev be as an artist in his own right, which once, and in spite of Fantano giving the album like what, a 4, a 5, a 3, you know, once again, Fantano have a good review challenge. Impossible. You know what, you know, sorry, you know, look,
That's funny as shit.
no, look, you know, look,
That's funny as shit.
I respect Fantano, but it's just
We all do,
I
but
just I
we
gotta but I gotta
we have to we have to cut down. We have to like take pot shots every now and then because he's for like it's like the fact of the matter is America doesn't have a nardwar, but we have a melon. And
Yeah.
like listen, like as a I follow Ventano for a long time, and I will always go to bat with the fact that he's reviewing shit that needs to be talked about. That most, it's like being a music journalist is already a hard sell in the first place. At least, and like it's
Hmm.
always cool when I talk to regular everyday people who aren't like chronically online like you and me. I'm like, have you heard of the needle drop? Have you heard of Anthony Fantano? I'm like, who the fuck is that? That always grounds the fuck out of me. But at least that motherfucker is talking about shit that most folk won't ever hear or listen to ever.
Hmm.
And we need that. I want there to be like a public access channel on fucking television. Because like we shit on TV all
Hmm.
day and night, but like people watch fucking TV every day. I go to my fucking job, people are watching daytime talk shows and like the local news. Like coverage for
Hmm.
music is like reduced to just like the Kelly Clarkson show. And not for nothing, she's doing a great fucking job singing everybody else's music.
Hmm.
Goddamn. But like where are you gonna go? Like they're basically making libraries useless thanks to like the right wing agenda. And like fuckers like you and I can't play any instruments. Thank God for the skater boy for
Yeah.
holding us down.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I
like
mean, yeah.
where are you gonna look to be inspired if not the fucking internet where anything can go sideways on this motherfucker? Like like listen, like he calls himself like the busiest music nerd for a fucking reason. Bad takes be damned, shitty ass one off, like he'll make some pretty like awful jokes every once in a while. He's a straight white
Mhm.
man on the internet who has a little bit of sauce. It happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
And, you know,
who's the
and
fucking black or brown equivalent of what he's doing? I like it to be me, but I can't write to save my fucking life. Like
yeah, and
he is
I
providing a crucial service, but like, well, I like us like saying like son, like and we all and every he especially knows that like it's just from him, and it's not like the end of this.
yeah.
It's not like the end all be all, but like
Mhm.
most folk will see what he says and leave it at that. And that is not his fault. I'll just say that.
Yeah, and even in my pot shots and trash talks to him, as much,
It's all
the
jokes.
message is, yeah, but the message is not, message is not, don't mess with Fantano. It's more, hopefully in us having these conversations and me kind of like being like, oh man, yeah, and me being like, to hell with needle drop. It's that music criticism, hopefully online music criticism does not begin and end with a Fantano. That more people can come out and be like, oh hey, yeah, oh hey, when we're talking about this stuff, you know, there are these well-known names that have their well-known opinions, and well, we don't mess, we disagree. Much like how I disagree with his, not positive review of Cupid Deluxe, which I credit for finally making me see, for finally making me understand. Oh, yo, this Blood Orange guy, he's not just a talented producer and songwriter for other artists. He has clearly shown that he is a talented artist in his own right, and to finally now take it to a you're not good enough, and I you know and contra- and and I know Pitchfork, I don't think Pitchfork gave it a negative review, but they were definitely like, oh wow, wow, doesn't Blood Orange come off like such a jerk with this album, with this song, like all that sensitivity he showed on 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 losing you and everything's embarrassing is just gone. And I would disagree, because yes, there is the chorus, there's the chorus, I never was in love, you're not good enough. But the thing is, especially when you're actually listening to the verses, and which is why it really, in reference to our last episode, and I guess a reference to my, where I am in my life now, it's like, it's it's about projection. It's about projecting. It's about this ultra projection of like, yeah, yeah, whatever, you suck. Much like the dismemberment plan with Whedon, being like, yeah, whatever, you sucked. You sucked. What was I even doing being with you? But as you're listening to the verses, I said, deep in the play, I see you as you're looking over, friends in my way, and all that stuff. It's very much about the fact that he is still haunted by this. He is still haunted by losing this person in his life. And it it is so clear in the second verse where he says, 49 days, I should be feeling a whole lot better. 49 days, not even 50, not even 50, 49 days. The fact that you have counted down to 49 days, and you keep on coming back, I keep letting you in. It's the sensitivity is still there. It's very, and I would think it would be clear that, when he says, I never was in love, you're not good enough, it's a lie. It's a lie. Like, he clearly is still in love with this person. It's just it's just the fact that that person has been lost. That person has been lost, and any attempts to move on have been a failure, is what haunts him. So he kind of has to put on the persona of like, oh yeah, yeah, whatever, yeah, whatever, you sucked, whatever, buzz off. But it's a lie that it's a lie that that he's trying really, really hard to believe. It's kind of like how with Dismemberment Plan, how for as much as Travis is kind of putting on this show of, oh yeah, whatever, here you are with your new guy, yeah, well, don't you all suck. The song is called Waiting. It's not I'm here with my new chick. It's called Waiting. And so that pain is still there. That pain is still there. And that it's very much a sentiment that I'd say with You're Not Good Enough. It's like, yeah, I'm saying all this stuff because I am trying very, very hard to save face from the fact that you still hold something in my life that I wish it didn't matter. I desperately wish didn't matter, but you clearly still do. And and that's, I don't know, that kind of jerk projection, which I do not promote, and I do not think is a good thing to show. But unfortunately, like so much of human emotions is, it's human. It's a real thing. And eh, eh, you know, yes, yes. Mhm.
Just as I thought, we were at 2 hours of recording, and we still have a motherfucker of a song to get through. Let's move to the last song let's move to our last unlucky underdog, Telegraph Ave, if I may.
Woo! Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, so as the story goes, at the time, I'm living in an apartment with my mother and my brother, and I'm in a very unhappy relationship. One of my acquaintances at the time, he's like, yo, have you heard? Because the internet. And I'm like, I'm not ready to listen to it yet. And he's like, you have to hear this one song. And I'm like, please don't play it for me. He plays it for me anyway because he insists. He was not wrong, but I'm still irritated he didn't respect my wishes. And I really, this is one of my favorite Gambino songs through and through. If there are 5 great Gambino songs, this is one of them. I love the beat. I love the world of this album. This is one of the most important, just like weirdo dude black creations ever fucking made. It's because of people like Donald and Tyler the Creator that I thought, holy fuck, you can be weird and unique and black and make something of yourself in this world. I always just thought that like I'll always be on the outside looking in, not knowing how to like just like coalesce and like blend in or code switch with people my own age from my background. I was said like the problem with you motherfucker, the problem with like the stuff that Gambino creates, it kind of vilifies the weirdo black person in your life. Like if you're not the weirdo black person, like you know a Gambino, you know the person, like the person who's rapping, like the perspective of the person he's rapping from. You know somebody like that who feels like who has like a chip on their shoulder for just like I'm not like the other bullies and shit like that. And just like more and more when I hear the song, I hear just like, man, like it this is so fucked up of me to make this comparison. But you know that one country singer who got more popular after he said the N-word?
I forget his name, but I know exactly who
Good,
you're talking
good.
about.
Let's leave it at that. Let's leave it at that. He had a song that was like, I can't love you more than my hometown. And essentially that's this song where it's like, it's almost kind of confusing where it's like, you don't know if like dude wants to stay in Oakland or whether the shorty he's
Mhm.
with is like, what the fuck are we even doing here type shit. And I think about the whole like, you wanted to be a mom, but I don't want to be a parent because I know I'd be bad at it. And for fucking years, I've said, I don't want to be a parent because of my own financial insecurities. But at the heart of it, I feel the same way of that. I could not measure up to the to like my parents did a really good fucking job in spite of all the things that they had, in spite of all the things my parents were up against. They raised 3 incredible kids. In spite of all the things that your parents were up against, your parents raised 3 incredible black men. And like our 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 journeys are not the same, but they are similar in the sense that like our mutual friend said, these 2 motherfuckers have to meet one another because you are a person in my life I wish I had known all of my life because I would have felt that much less alone. And I said it in our private phone calls, but you are never getting rid of me. You are a part of me until the day that I die. You know, I
No
will not
attempts here.
rest. I will not rest until the world knows how brilliant you are. Because there's just so
Mhm.
much in that big ass brain of yours that I know that other people have not even considered for a moment in time. And that's what this music, this specific fucking album, the fucking short film that like was attached to it, the fucking script, that iconic ass freestyle on Sway's universe. Fucking
Mhm.
A. Like I hate having to go back to the video because I feel like it is the worst fucking possible thing to show anybody who doesn't know the first thing about fucking Gambino. And like even when I made the YouTube playlist, I had to like get a rip from a fan upload, which is fucking fine. That's not hard to do. But just like I like shit fucking official if I can get it. But man, just like there's just so much fucking cool
Oh
shit
yeah.
going on with this beat, with just like Gambino's rap cadences. He really is like the Drake for like weirdo motherfuckers like you and me. But much
Mhm.
like Drake, that ugly ass underbelly that refuses to go away, that has haunted Gambino since his mixtape era, that bleeds into his personal life when he interviews his fucking self, that like was initially exposed to the hard work and research of one Kimberly Nicole Foster, our queen at Fort Harriet, who I will serve and who I will fight for until the day that I die. I'm so thankful for all the work she has done to just make us look at ourselves. There's like maybe like
Mhm.
50 people in our culture actively working to just like move our people in a constructive and progressive direction. Thank you, Kimberly, for just like helping me consider the possibility that Donald Glover is not God. He's just a man. And like I feel
Mhm.
like I always just like do her words misjustice when I try to like quote them or just like cite them. See for your fucking self what she had to say all those years ago about like Atlanta season 2 and stuff like that. But god damn it. Like this is a man who made a fucking short film with Rihanna. You know what I'm saying? This is a man who gave
Still
us like the
haven't seen that.
summer.
Mhm.
I haven't seen it fucking either, and I don't know if I even want to
Yeah.
now. But like this is the man who gave
Yeah.
us Feels Like Summer and like Summertime Magic, which was great for like the keep like for us. And like even like it's been long enough where if you play that shit at the kickback, that shit's gonna go up. Like Summertime Magic, that shit fucking knocks, man.
Mhm.
But this is where it all starts and begins, man. Just like
Yeah. Yeah.
because like an album like this couldn't have came out at any other time. This album samples uh who's the guy who's that rapper who did a feature with Mark Ronson?
Um. Which one? Which
One
one?
who got
Mark Ronson.
canceled.
Hmm.
Wait,
I
no,
don't
hold
think
on.
it's like
I'm gonna pull it up
no.
because it's gonna fucking kill
Wasn't
me.
like
Don't wait. Don't give me like 1 minute.
okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean. Oh. Mystical.
Yeah, like this album samples Mystical. This sample
Oh.
has a guest verse from Azealia Banks. The script wanted Rick fucking Ross to be like
Uh
the
huh.
lead, like be like the father figure of the main character, which he wanted
Uh huh.
Jaden Smith to play. Like
Mhm.
he had like just like those creeper bars on don't be mad because I'm doing me better than you doing you. Like which was
Mhm.
and we will be fools not to acknowledge the fact it was really fucking cool to see that song utilized in Moon Girl and Double Dinosaur, but like it
Yes.
was not the best decision that was made. It was really fucking cool, but
Yeah.
unfortunately, for most of us, people who never experienced that album and heard that and were like, yo, what was that? Are going to look up that song and be like, oh my fucking Christ. My children are going to listen to this song without my supervision had I not just like done my due diligence. That's just
There were
that's just the
yeah.
thing of
Yeah. There were
that is
better
the
choices. Yeah. Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur.
choices were
Like.
made that should not have
Yeah.
been made.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, and and even down to
Go
the
in.
choice of the hats that, even down to the choice that the hats that I'm wearing. You know, okay, so like your experience with Gambino, like,
Changed my
is it
fucking
in any
life.
way? Yeah, 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 and that is that is the
I
very
cut you off. And is there
difficult.
any way
Yeah. Okay. Well, was your introduction to him kind of like mine, where, and shout out to my good old friend, Mr. Mika Savad. Well, he also of another name, but I don't know if he wants me, you spin his government name on, but shout out to my man Mika Savad. We go back, we go back. It will always, I will always truly, you are a dear friend who I will always love. But who I not only it is not only because of you that I know who I really have a good appreciation for Childish Gambino, but heck, I like I will always remember that. Oh, hey, that guy on Community? Geez, Community. Yeah, he does music. He goes by Charles Gambino. He doesn't want to go by his regular name because he assumes that people will just think he's a comedy rapper now because it's funny now. Now we think of Donald Glover, this big, as for what he has, for the history he has made now. But and by all means, he has made history. I mean, he is literally we are literally talking about the first black man to ever win an Emmy for directing a comedy series. Atlanta, and the I think the Black Entertainment Network episode that he won an Emmy. He won an Emmy for that. And but in the 2010s, he was just Troy
The
from
motherfucker from
Community.
Derek
Troy from
Comedy.
Community. Oh yeah, and also Derek Comedy, which, oh boy, when we talk about the problematic self of Mr. Glover,
This is what you get.
and there's that weird dichotomy because, hey, there is that voice he gave to, he gave to black men, to
Disenfranchised,
get
straight
like
weirdo black men.
and something that in spite of that, I feel like it would be dishonest for me. It would be dishonest for me to not also be acknowledge and be very understanding of the various problematic baggage in which showing love to a man like Glover comes with. But at the same time, it's also dishonest for me to kind of just throw him to the garbage can with that problematic baggage, because you're going to be in a situation when you're going through what you're going through, and you're channel surfing on TV, and oh, here's the video for 3005, and it's and you're watching to see him saying all these things about a connection that he is dearly trying to have, and the complications that are coming from it, as you are dealing with your own severed connection of your own. And stuff like that, it's like, yeah, there are so many problematic things about Mr. Glover, but he gave me that. He gave me that. He has also consistently given me things that helped me felt seen at a time in my life where I wasn't really sure if it was possible. At a time in my life which I'm still kind of in a weird place of not even knowing how possible it is. Which, granted, I see it now more possible than I did years back, but it was like, it's like, and look, and I'm not, and no, he does not have a monopoly on, hey, straight black nerdy men,
Are you
who feel
sure?
at odds. Uh, I mean, uh, well, he has the closest thing. He has the closest.
Let me
He's
say
pretty much
this.
yeah.
During this run, the Because the Internet run, Gambino said, I'm Kanye's son. I can do what he could not. I will do what he would not. And when like the time comes when we have someone who's like, oh, I was raised in just like the trenches that Glover dug with his hands Like we'll know, because like Atlanta's over. Glover's a father, and like I would love nothing more for him to just be like, all right, cool. I'm gonna see y'all in like 5 years or some shit. And someone has to like fill the vacuum that was left behind by all the hard work that he's done. But like as far as I'm concerned, the only discernible path for black weirdo men is like cornbread tube. Is like we gotta like focus all of our efforts on just like healing from our trauma, being good men in our communities, and safe havens for the disenfranchised. We've been spoiled, you and I. Like, in spite of all the bullshit that's been thrown our way, we've been quite spoiled. Like you are sitting on a mountain of treasure, and the world outside may not know it, but like a lot of people who love us and hang out in the same spaces as us, who aren't afforded the opportunities that we are, know what kind of treasure you're sitting on, and you're just trying to find a way to break through the topsoil. And a lot of people, like, the fact of the matter is, like, the coolest shit ever made comes from our people, and we keep track of all of it. Like, we found ways to just categorize all of it. And as we see every day on these hell sites, there are traps and dangerous spaces for just like very online black men to be on. And these organizations, these websites, these groups would love nothing more for us all to be dead and wiped from existence. And I don't mean to be so fucking dramatic, but just like, something cool comes up that was made at the hands of a marginalized black person, and wealthy and powerful people chomp at the bit to just like undersell that black person and make billions off their labor. And like we have to be the lookouts for like because like the next cool thing in black culture won't be from you and me, if we're being honest with ourselves. Like our dreams or aspirations are important, but like I don't see us reinventing the wheel or the light bulb. It is going to come from someone with like more to lose and less to gamble with. And it will be our responsibility to be like, stay the fuck away from them, and like let that motherfucker cook. Let that young Zoomer like just do what they do best, because they're not afraid or like acknowledging the awful people who just spit venom in their eyes at every conceivable way. I think that's like
And yeah, and
go ahead.
honestly,
I'm sorry.
I think honestly the best hope that I can say we truly have is, because we all getting older, and a lot of the framework of what there's a dichotomy between the world we thought we were going to inherit and the world we ended up getting. And there's so much that we're trying to kind of make up for. I mean, I always say that 2016, oddly enough, when Atlanta debuted, that was a year where we had really one chance to kind of, there was a line in the sand of the future, a future that wouldn't have been the most bright sunshiny, but it would have been a much better future for us to go to, and the future we ended up did going into. And to quote the Buggles, we can't rewind, we have gone too far. And you know and you try to reconcile with that, you try to heal as much as you can from that. But there's what there's I mean, it's, I guess, there, yeah, there's trying to make the best of a bad deck of cards, but then there's also just at the same time you really just wish you got better cards, and and it makes
Fuck
you
the
all the
game
more,
they're playing.
yeah, and let's say it makes you all the more thankful for good art, for good art that kind of helped sell you on a world that could exist. And I guess in talking about Gambino, in talking about Glover, in talking about the good the good influence he has, but also the problematic baggage. And it's like, dog. There's a reason I don't even acknowledge Derek. I hardly acknowledge Derek comedy even back in the day. I mean, if I could
Even when
wipe
you could have
out my
gotten away
memory
with
of
it.
Derek comedy, yeah, if I could wipe out my memory of Derek comedy, I would. I mean, and yes, there's a lot of stuff in from Glover's own his past as a stand-up comic, which I'm not even going to think about, yet alone repeat. And yes, even with Gambino, yeah, Gambino's music, which for example, it's man, it's weird. I wish I could. I was aiming to just kind of give a good like kind of chronological dichotomy of whoa, where was Gambino? What was Gambino doing in 2013? And I would answer that, but but like, yeah, look, hey, if you've ever listened to Freaks and Geeks, I mean, which is probably one of the tamest of those early Gambino raps, but like, even there, his fetishization of a certain group of people is still there. And it's like, I can't defend it, people. I'm not going to defend it. But I will say that yes, for that, for stuff like that, which funny enough, when I once said that line to a certain person, she was not having it. I mean, granted, I made it clear
Bruv.
that that line was BS, you know but at the same time, you also get a song like Telegraph Ave, which I wouldn't say, I'm not gonna act it, there's a reason why, because of the internet, was nominated for a bunch of Grammys. There's a reason why at the time, when he was leaving his maybe not the most commercially successful but beloved but cult series critically acclaimed cult series, when he left this show on its fifth season, only doing 5 episodes of it because he wanted to focus more on the music. A move that at the time seemed the dumbest thing ever. The dumbest thing ever. When, because the internet did come out, it was like, okay, maybe. Maybe there's some method to this madness. Of course, 10 years later, it is now clear as day, whether or not he made that right decision. And geez, and saying all of this, and I haven't even gotten to Telegraph Ave yet, which, hey,
We're not going
that
to, honestly. We're not
you
going to.
know,
Let's keep it real. It's 1:45 in the morning. We've been recording for 2.5 hours. Look, motherfuckers. Like the Spotify playlist is up. The YouTube playlist is up. Throw that fucker on. You'll see. If you don't, it's fine. Like after this shit,
yeah,
he changed up the format fucking completely. Like on a whim, it seems like. And he like him doing like just like funkadelic worship brought him the attention of like the black mainstream he always wanted. And
mhm,
I feel like we're never gonna get that last Gambino release in the same way Dr. Dre fans never got Detox. And I'm okay with that. Like
mhm.
some folks will live and die on some childish Gambino type shit. But like I said earlier in the stream, humans grow, we progress. There's way more. shit out there made by black creatives who have not had their moment in the sun. And not even like their fucking 15 minutes of fame, their proper due as a creative in like the black community across the fucking world. And
And,
that I think that's
yeah,
what's more
and
important. Like
yeah,
this song's a millstone around my fucking
yeah,
neck, if I'm being honest with you. You please go ahead before we wrap up.
and I guess in these small 2 cents I can give about the song and just how the interesting genius conceptual of it technically being a sample of a song that doesn't actually exist. There is no Oakland by Lloyd. There is no Oakland by Lloyd. Shout to Lloyd, by the way. Him and Gambino are pretty cool, and he was on the Atlanta show and everything. Um, but as we are getting older, and as we are longing for these connections and stuff like that, and the people we want in our lives who maybe, unfortunately, due to circumstances that we can't control, things separate us from them, and certain and how much that is difficult, but also how we clearly still end up living through it. I mean, the line, "I have furniture to move and will both be dirty soon," which, eh, yeah, yeah, you know, I don't know, there are no clear cut answers in a way, but you know, but thank goodness for people who try to blaze a trail anyway, and maybe in the end we'll be smart and be able to dissect what matter, the things that are worth taking from with us and the things that are worth leaving behind. And yeah, I thought I would be closer to that answer years ago. I thought I'd be closer to that answer yesterday, but
You are.
I really don't know.
Call it just like
Yeah.
naive optimism. I don't even know the fucking context, but I have so much faith in you that I can already tell that you are. All right.
Yeah.
All right. That'll do for
Even
now.
yeah.
Hmm? Hmm?
Yeah,
Even,
but hey,
even,
yeah,
even.
even down to me, this hat that I'm wearing,
Take that
that
motherfucker off.
okay, this was a gift. This was a gift from an old friend of mine, but I don't
I'm
know.
glad that you still have it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, who who Grant is a one who is living her life in the good old South, and I wish her nothing but the best. And huh, hey, hey, we'll both be 30 soon. Yeah,
Happy early birthday, motherfucker.
much thanks, but I
That's it,
guess that's all
motherfucker.
there
We're
really is
done.
to say.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah, it's over. It's
We're,
over.
we're, we're burnt like a blackened sausage. This has been the Unlucky
Hmm.
Underdogs. Ken Mide, 2013, 2023. Obviously, we can only go up from here. My goal with this series is that we keep on pushing this shit till we hit because we've done 2012, we've done 2021. That took us fucking forever. So we're probably gonna push all the way from 2014 to 2020, and then and probably next year we'll do 2022 and then 2011. and then we'll have to come up with a fucking new concept for the show. But like, if we can continue at this rate, we can probably come back to this. We can probably if we really just like put all our eggs in a row, we can crack through at least part 1 of 2014, and then return in April, in like early April, and finish 2014, etc., etc. So like,
And
Alor,
yeah.
we'll I'm sorry, you first.
And there are so many interesting places to take this series into, and dissecting our relationship with art and how it also impacts us as people. And I hope and pray, and we'll be continuing to pray tonight, that we get more and more opportunities to do that.
Yeah, I was gonna say like, come tomorrow. Like, honestly though, because if I know anything about you and me, we'll be on for probably
Mhm.
another couple hours. So like, I will get like the bones
Oh, oh
started
yeah.
on. Like, I'll get started on like I will at least like have like the bones of the 2014 list sent to your direction,
Mhm,
so you can like contribute to it at your leisure.
mhm.
Look, y'all, we just cracked the 2.5 hour threshold. You know what the fuck it is? Black History Month is over. It's now Women's History Month. Um, Black Lives Matter. Trans Lives Matter. Stop Cop City. Wear a fucking mask. Drink water. Look in the mirror. Say you love yourself. If you can't, please know that we do. That's all. That's most of the beats. Oh, ACAB. Um, and Stop Asian Hate.
Mhm.
And thank you. Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
to Aelor. Thank you to Skater Boy. It'll be sad not getting a contribution from him for 2014, but he'll most certainly be there with us in 2015. Thank you. Like and subscribe. New music in the description. Mutual aid contributions in the description. Follow Aelor on Twitter. You'll want to get to know him now before like his award-winning script hits like all like the big awards, SAG,
Mhm.
Emmys, Globes, Oscars. I'm telling you, dog, I'm gonna be like motherfucking uh Key cheering on Peel when he wins that motherfucker. That's on God, man. We're
Uh,
gonna change the fucking
much.
world, I promise.
Mhm, mhm. Much love.
I'm
Much
tired as
love.
a I'm tired as I'm
Much
tired as a
love,
fool. And I
and
need to
what
fucking
I think for.
oh,
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I cut you off.
Yeah, much love and much thanks for this continued opportunity. That, even when it seems like we have a clear cut direction that we plan on going, we always seem to venture into other other meaningful places that hopefully provide further discussions and beyond beyond the beyond beyond the clear cut. Yeah. And I remain thankful for being able to have this platform, to be able to share it with you. You could, in the words of Sean Carter, you could be anywhere in the world, but you're here, and you could choose anyone, and you could have chosen anyone in the world, but you chose me, and for that I remain thankful.
Love you, dog. I need to pee.
Mhm.
I need a drink. Seeing you like hit those goddamn Red Bulls all night. It's like, oof. I need some H2O in my motherfucking system. My cup is empty. So
Yeah.
brush your teeth, wash your face, say grace, go to bed, motherfucker. Thank you so much. I'm Chris Kennard. I'm here with Aelor, aka Arkantel, aka the living abstraction himself. His name is his name, and he is not lame. Sir, please say goodbye to the people before we end the broadcast.
Goodbye and good luck.
This is goodbye, but not farewell. Is that the line?
Yes, goodbye, but not farewell. And I very
Indeed.
much look forward to the next time we are reunited. I'll
Well
see. I look
said.
forward to seeing you all guys soon. Mhm.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Godspeed. Adios. We're done. End broadcast.